Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good afternoon everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I know where I am, not a cloud in the sky. It's about 80 degrees, thank goodness. It's great. But anyway, in brief, it's just going to be relatively quick tonight, but there's some powerful information. And what I found was kind of interesting. Maybe it's a little bit symbolic, maybe it's not, but there's an article that's in patreon.com/mm&crew, and come in and check it out. Our Discord chat room has that as well. But look, the joint statement of the Central Bank of Iraq and the Central Bank of Tunisia, they got together and they go on and says they have an Iraqi national strategy for the financial inclusion for 2025 through 2029. And it has a vision. It says the vision and diagnosis, and it's organized by the central bank. It says that during that meeting, it says a memorandum of cooperation, coordination was signed between the Central Bank of Iraq and the Central Bank of Tunisia, expressing the two sides' commitment to developing joint frameworks and consolidating the principles of banking integration. That's one of the key words that I've been focusing on a little bit, because everybody's getting together. They're getting on the same page. And I think you're going to see similarly that Iraq has done the Arab the Arab Summit, okay? And then they also had the Development Summit. They've had the Media Summit, or conference as they call it. But ultimately, everybody's coming together, and then that happened, and then there's going to be more. Okay, so integration is a key word, but it says in light of the development of economic relations between the two brotherly countries, that they've had this meeting. It says the memorandum stipulates on enhancing cooperation in several areas. One of them is banking supervision, risk management in line with international standards, promoting and expanding the use of electronic payment systems to support financial inclusion. And these are all things that we've heard before to some degree, but we're just keep seeing them focusing in on this. And they're also saying overseeing payment systems, like kind of, for instance, overseeing them, monitoring, auditing, right? Okay, and exchanging expertise on developing the technical infrastructure. Exchanging information and expertise in the fields of financial innovation, cybersecurity, and combating money laundering and terrorist financing. Sounds like all the new electronic systems. Okay, Tunisia and Iraq are dealing with that. It says the visit provided an opportunity for both sides to discuss financial issues of mutual interest and explore opportunities for joint cooperation in developing the banking's infrastructure. And they're being particular with regard to modernizing and developing electronic payment and financial systems. It says that this altogether reflects both sides' commitment to strengthening channels of dialogue and technical regulatory cooperation with their counterparts regionally, with Arab countries, and again, internationally. So they're talking about doing international business, doing it electronically with the highest and most newest modern technologies. Okay, it says through this partnership, both sides affirmed their constant endeavor to keep pace with developments in international banking and build strategic cooperation relations that contribute to achieving financial stability and supporting economic growth between the two brotherly countries. What I found interesting is if you come into Patreon or you find the article, you're going to see that there's a lot of photographs, and one of the photographs is fascinating. But interestingly enough, the central bank governor is apparently giving a gift that appears to include coins. The symbolism looks to be very promising, is the way I look at it. Coins represent historical value. Iraq is not using coins or metals today, and coins do not represent an exchange rate of 1310 IQD to 1 USD. They just don't use them. But he's giving a gift, and if they're old and they're symbolic, great. If they're just an off gift, but why would a central bank governor give another central bank governor something that was worthless and merely just symbolic? I'm not so sure, because it doesn't make sense to me. But nonetheless, it isn't the point of the night. But basically, with a real effective exchange rate, coins would be needed. And they've told us that they were going to go back to a previous era. And they had coins back then. And there comes in the symbolism, if you will. But the expectation is that Iraq has now and have in the past, even a couple of years ago, and they've been doing all the work that's necessary to get to where they are. They didn't have the Arab League summit, if you will, the development side of it, the media side of it, with all the approval from all the stakeholders that I talked about, to not have a reason to do so. And obviously, with this meeting with Tunisia, there was something important there, because they're talking about payments, electronic payments. That's cross-border payments. That's trade. That's the point, okay? And it's exciting. So I think a lot of you probably know, maybe not any one of you know, but there's another summit, and that is called the Kuala Lumpur Asian, the GCC, and China Asian GCC Economic Forums in 2025. When are they going to be? They start on May 27th through the 28th of this month. It says here the government of Malaysia, led by the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry and Fortune, will jointly host the Asian/GCC/China and Asian/GCC Economic Forums in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And that's, I've already said it, on the 27th and the 28th. It says these forums will be held in conjunction with the inaugural Asian-China Summit, the Asian GCC Summit, and the 46th Asian Summit will be attended by the government leaders from the likes of 10 members from China. It says the Association of the Southeast Asian Nations. It says the Asian, Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. And then it says there's 6 nations in the Gulf Cooperation Council, which is Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The only one that we haven't really heard about during the Arab League was 2, I guess, were Bahrain and Kuwait. The rest seem to have been part of that process. It says these forums powered by, quote, the Fortune's award-winning editors, so they're talking about Fortune magazine, will convene heads of states, ministers, top policymakers, experts, and investors from the world's largest sovereign wealth funds to the Fortune 500 companies. That's massive, you guys. That's really big. It says our theme is inclusivity and sustainability. The participants will have the opportunity to gain fresh and unique perspectives and share insights through open conversations on how to thrive in an increasingly complex economic and geopolitical landscape. It says that the forums will explore urgent challenges facing business and identify innovative policy situations and solutions, and bold reforms to chart a path forward to power a sustainable and inclusive future for the region. So that's inclusive of all of those mentioned. So when it's talking about inclusive, it's talking about Asia and the Arab world. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Bringing together the government and business leaders from the 3 of the world's most dynamic regions, which is Southeast Asia, the Gulf, and China, these discussions will serve as a vital new platform for dialogue and collaboration. It says that the 2-day forums offer a unique opportunity to meet and hear from government business leaders from the 3 fast-growing regions, which are home to more than 2 billion consumers and account for more than 20% of the world's GDP. These regions are rapidly embracing new trade practices, boosting investments, and developing strategies to expand their global reach and strengthen their competitive position in the global market. It says, due to profile of attendees and limited space, pay attention, attendance is strictly by invitation only. Okay. Will Iraq attend the summit? Okay, you can look it up. Yes, it will. It says, based on the leaders attending the World Economic Forum special meeting, Iraq Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani is scheduled to attend. And this event is going to be in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the capital, according to the World Economic Forum. According to the World Economic Forum. All right. I did a little bit more research on this, and from that Economic Forum, I get robust dialogue is the only way to navigate turbulent times and find a path to a more sustainable, equitable future for the planet and its people. So this is basically starting right off that it's a global situation. It says the IMF's most recent World Economic Outlook reveals some confidence in soft landing and a soft landing for the global economy, which is growing against the backdrop of better than expected economic data in many parts of the world. And basically it says that this suggests an opportunity for leaders to find the bright spots. It says the bright spots, the rise of intelligent economies, artificial intelligence probably likely, the growing agency of middle powers to forge global cooperation, and the momentum for a new compact for global growth is among some of those priorities that they have. It says, but the World Bank finds in its Great Reversal report a widening income gap between the world's wealthiest and poorest countries for the first time this century. It behooves all of us to stop this reversal and work towards meeting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. So basically what they're saying is that what we've done and what we're seeing needs to change. And it's going to be on a global scale. And they also give the impression that they have a new compact for global growth. They're trying to get to be able to bridge the gap. In artificial intelligence, new data, big data, all of that new electronic systems are going to be able to bridge that data. I think, bridge that gap, I should have said. But it says that this is why the World Economic Forum is convening a special meeting on global collaboration, growth, and energy for development in Saudi Arabia to bring together developed and developing markets across industries to find solutions to immediate crisis while laying the groundwork to create a more sustainable, resilient world. It says over 2 days and 50 sessions, more than 1,000 leaders from around the world will meet in a spirit of mutual respect and understanding to address the most urgent challenges posed by the increasingly fragmented geopolitical and economic environment. They go on and say, by leveraging global cooperation for economic development, promoting a global energy transition that underpins sustainable development, and furthering technological advancement, the goal is to contribute to a more stable and inclusive economic future. So they're not just talking about a few countries, they're talking about globally. And so it says here the special meeting numbers is 220 public figures from 60 countries, 1,000 plus world leaders from all sectors and industries, 50 sessions on the themes of collaboration, growth, and energy, 10 plus sessions in international organizations and multilateral development banks, 10 plus international organizations and multilateral development banks are going to be there. That's pretty big. The program and its key sessions to watch are the opening plenary, which is called A New Vision for Global Development. It will set the tone for the special meeting. As the forum president, Boris Brende is joined by the presidents of Rwanda, Nigeria, Paul Kagame, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgievina. I'll get that right one of these days. Anyway, they go on with the CEO of the Financial Services Group, his name of Lazard, his name is Peter Orzag. It says basically what? They're there to discuss how to reignite the momentum on development and economic convergence. Economic convergence, interconnectivity, integration. I think you've heard a lot of words like this, right? It goes on and says that number one, a compact for inclusive growth. Here the IMF's Georgieva will join Malaysia's Minister of Investment, the Trade and Industry, a gentleman by the name of Aziz, a gentleman by the name of Al Jazan, Saudi Arabia's Minister of Finance, and the forum's managing director, Saadia Saidi, to discuss how to achieve the sustainable way in this session. What kind of growth do we need? And it goes on and says, what do we need? They say they need artificial intelligence, they need productivity, they need work. Can we have it all? Can we have all those? It says, well, it brings together information ministers from all these other different countries, Rwanda, Saudi Arabia. It goes on and says that the CEO of a company called Aker ASA, Hiroaki Kitano, Deputy Executive President, that's who that is. And it goes on and says the CTO and CEO of Sony Research to talk about the trade-offs leaders will need to manage as artificial intelligence develops further. It goes on and says that there was insights from the Saudi Arabia's Minister of Economy and Planning, and the list goes on. Okay, the next thing was that their point was catalyzing action on energy for development, and we mentioned the SDGs, and they talk about the energy transition is not only urgent for the future of the planet, but to address stark disparities in access and achieve the SDG of affordable, clean energy for all. Particularly in developing countries, the meeting will convene across several sectors and identify financial, technology, political solutions aimed at scaling up the use of clean energy and while using and ensuring equitable growth. So this portion was the flagship session, which I wanted to get to. It says the people, policy, finance, that's the topic. Realizing an equitable energy transition will bring the HRH Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Energy. It says Saad bin Sharida Al Kaabi, Qatar's Minister of State of Energy Affairs, Kadri Simpson, Commissioner for Energy European Commission, and with Vicky Hulub, President and CEO of Occidental Petroleum Corporation, and Darren Woods, Chairman and CEO of ExxonMobil. They're all talking about energy from the largest entities, some of the largest companies in the world. It says the next thing is revitalizing global collaboration. It says in the session, north to south, east to west, rebuilding trust. And it goes on, talks about Saudi Arabia, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, talking about the global north-south can revitalize cooperation to open up solutions to today's most critical challenges. Sigrid Kaag, the United Nations, he's talking about reconstruction. It goes on to answer questions that the region can build viable path out of conflict towards cooperation and presence. So now we have the Egypt's Minister of Foreign Affairs, and they keep going from one group to the next, invoking Saudi Arabia, the Minister of Foreign Affairs from the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Okay, but check this out. Attendees at the special meeting. This is where I find it fascinating. It says more than 220 public figures from over 60 countries will participate in the special meeting, which is under the patronage of His Royal Highness of Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That is big. Top political leaders taking part will be Michel Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, Emir of Kuwait. It's going to be there. They go on to say the Prime Minister of Egypt, Madbouli, he's going to be there. Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, Prime Minister of Iraq, has an invitation. He's going to be there. There is a laundry list of people who are going to be there. Okay? This is a global event. It says as well as, well, they have Anthony Blinken in the article, but Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, Minister of Europe, Foreign Affairs of France, David Cameron from the United Kingdom, Commonwealth Development Affairs, Alexandra Silveira. It says that Ministry of Mines, Energy from Brazil. Okay, they go on and talk about Ministry of Trade. They talk about mineral resources from Indonesia, Energy of Republic of Korea, the Presidency of the Electricity of South Africa. I think a lot of these names you guys are familiar with. The Minister and Presidency of, the Ministry of Treasury and Finance of Turkey. And they go on to Deputy Prime Minister of Financial and Economic Affairs of the United Arab Emirates. Not all of these names, but many of them, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, a lot of those names have approval. And they're not all 100% connected to the Arab Summit, but many of them are. And now, invitation only, Iraq is invited. It's phenomenal, phenomenal. Okay, leaders in international organizations taking part, obviously the IMF, United Nations, World Health Organization, etc. It says leading dialogue. It says 15 leaders from government, the private sector, and international organizations will co-chair the event. Over half of the participants, spanning companies, governmental entities, and thought leaders, are from the global south and emerging economies, and over 80% of heads of state from developing or emerging economies. Here's a snippet about the GCC. Is Iraq involved? Iraq is not a member of the Gulf Cooperation Council, which is the GCC. The GCC is a regional and political economic alliance comprised of 6 Persian nations: Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. While Iraq is a neighbor and has historically had significant ties with the GCC, it was never formally a member. That's an interesting thing. But who was there at these meetings? Saudi Arabia was, Oman, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, if I have that right. We're all at the Arab League Summit. And many of the other different agencies, the IMF, for instance, World Bank, and many, many more, have given Iraq's approval, because many of them are stakeholders. Remember what we talked about. Stakeholders in the process to get national reconciliation. Then they had the regional reconciliation. Look, this is powerful information on the back of the recent Arab summit that took place, and many more in days thereof. Basically, what I'm seeing is there's a very strong lineup of global attendees. Iraq is not a member of the GCC, and it hasn't been, but it does have significant ties with them. It says the timing of this is, I believe, there's no coincidence. The economic forum is taking place the next few days, 27th and 28th, and it's a global one. Look, there's not many people that understand or see all of this, but the bottom line is that they've had approval from all those stakeholders and from all those government institutions and within and around the world have been in support. World Bank, U.S. Treasury, U.S. Federal Reserve, IMF, World Bank, probably the Bank of International Settlements, and other world organizations. We have the new ICE-CUTA system. So you can see how all of these things are tying in. So Al-Sudani's achievements with the Development Road Project has been noticed, and he deserved an invitation to attend. That's how I see it. He goes, and well, to me, look at all the reasons, all the things that have transpired in the last 2.5 years under Al-Sudani's watch. We just have never seen things like this before. And now he's going to be, Al-Sudani is invited to this global summit. Fascinating timing. And all those names, all those different names, all of them have currencies. A lot of those currencies that are involved were targeted as currency manipulators. Okay? And so now it's time to level that playing field, if you will. So timing of all these things that have transpired to this meeting are surely impressive, without a shadow of a doubt. And in my view, they all warrant all investors' attention. That's you and I and all investors. Everybody that has an investment in currency that has going to have an impact on them. It's going to have an impact. If Iraq changes the value of her currency, it's going to have a domino effect. Or if any other currencies do that, probably like they're the same. But if you have all these different countries having being invited to this global summit, and at the level that I just described, and I didn't touch on everybody, forgive me, but it's a long read. But I would highly recommend you go online, come to Militia Man and Crew, and to our Discord chat room, and take a look and see what you can find. And know what you own, because we as investors should know what we own. And I would believe that all these different countries that are involved in this, I have a good, strong feeling they know what they own. So thank you for being with us. I appreciate it. If you like my content, want to keep it coming, even before and after, well, as we are today and after, please hit the like button, subscribe, and thank you again for all your help and your donations, PayPal, Zelle, and Venmo. It does wonders, and we'll keep bringing it to you. Thank you very much for being with us this weekend. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.